As the temperatures drop, our food options rise. Today we'll cover two topics: cold weather backpacking food and a few of my favorite cheap grocery store backpacking food options. When the leaves start to fall, our options change for the better, in my opinion, when it comes to food on trail. Today I'm just doing a little day hike, looking for a nice little spot to chill out and enjoy some lunch. Share some tips with you guys, and also show you a few of my favorite meals on trail. So in the fall and winter, basically your mentality should be, it's gonna be a refrigerator and a freezer just being in nature. So there's a lot of different things that you can bring that you would otherwise store in a fridge or freezer. And I'm talking temps, 50 and below. So one of the first things that hits my food bag when the temps get a little bit lower is cheese. Obviously, I love cheese. Most people love cheese, but it doesn't melt, it doesn't get all weird, and you don't have to take the risk of it getting nasty on you. There are certain cheeses you can bring in all seasons, but when fall and winter goes, any cheese goes. Before we open the food bag today, let's talk about one of the biggest benefits of colder weather, and that's colder beverages. Whether that be a tall Budweiser or IPA, Monster Energy drink, whatever that may be, if it tastes better cold, you're in nature's refrigerator now. To further that point just a tad though, don't forget that when you're in freezing weather, liquids will freeze. And cans, I imagine that could be a nasty situation if you left a can of beer in your backpack and it got down to 20 degrees at night and that can exploded everywhere. So be aware of that and follow the various techniques of keeping your water and your beverages from freezing at night. Now, when it is below freezing, there are a couple different things that you can do to keep your liquids from freezing. One of them is pretty obvious. Make sure that that liquid is close to your body, inside your coat, inside your hammock or quilt when you're sleeping at night. But there's some other methods. Believe it or not, most streams will be running unless it gets down to frigid temperatures. So if you have open water like this, you can tie your liquids to something to make sure they don't float downstream and put them in that water. And they won't freeze, because even if it's freezing outside of the water, if that water's not frozen, it'll keep your liquids from freezing too. If you're in snowy territories, you can bury your liquids in a snowbank, and generally speaking, that will be another good method to insulate that liquid from coming to a freezing point and turning into a block of ice on you. I've even seen people create their own little DIY koozies for their water, and even put hand warmers and things like that inside of the package to keep liquids from freezing. Now keep in mind, those little store-bought hand warmers and foot warmers, they do require oxygen to retain heat, and they last from 4 to 8 hours depending on the situation that you're in. But get creative and just be mindful of the fact that frozen water is not easy to drink. I'm going to be full when this video is done, because I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different items that I like to bring on trail. So for myself personally, in the fall and winter, I generally don't hike quite as many miles as I would when there's more daylight. That's just simple math, really. But as a result, that means I can bring a few more luxury items, like a bigger cook pot, a frying pan, a larger canister. But while we're talking about the canisters, this is probably a really important thing to talk about, because this is isobutane. And in temps below, let's say, I'd want to say in my experience, below about 20 degrees, but especially in the really frigid temperatures, these things do not perform all that well. And that's simply because the canister gets cold. So if you're out in winter and you're having troubles getting your stove to start, the best thing you can really do is put this inside your jacket and get it next to your body heat. Don't set it in the fire. But you need to heat this up in order for it to perform for you. Or if you do a lot of winter camping where it's going to be below 20 for the most of the time, you may want to look into some other options for fuel. And I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I know that there are different fuel options that will work down, below zero. Isobutane works fine. Just keep in mind, find a way to warm it up before you cook. If you've watched my videos before, you've probably seen the appearance of these bad boys. The Heresford Rip and Ready meatballs. They're made with beef and chicken. It's real meat. And I would compare them to like the meatballs you get on a Subway meatball sandwich or in like a cafeteria. Nothing 5-star, but definitely 5-star on trail. These things are easy to prepare. You can boil them in a bag If you don't mind getting things a little messy, you can obviously cook them right in your pot. But I thought, and I've shown this in one video back in the past, but I thought I'd show you today. You pair this with ramen. I don't generally use the flavor packet, just the noodles. Prepare the noodles, add the meatballs and marinara sauce, and you guessed it, spaghetti and meatballs. So I'm gonna make that up for you today. I'll show you a close-up view once I get to cooking. All right, process is pretty simple from here. Get as much of that water out as possible. Add the meatballs. Now, just for good measure, I'm gonna heat it all up together. And as we talked about earlier, let's add some cheese. And there you have it, spaghetti and meatballs. So a package of these meatballs, I believe, is in like $4 range, maybe $3. And obviously ramen noodles cost less than $1. So this meal is about $5. And I would argue far tastier than 95% of all backpacking meals. When I cook it the way I do this way, it's probably a little bit messier, but this could also be done in like a freezer bag if you're a clean freak. Next, I'll tell you a real quick story about a really fun day I had with my friend Mike Gose. He and I chopped down an entire dead tree just to make a fire big enough to cook a big batch of chili in a Dutch oven. Cooking over the fire is a really fun experience, and in fall and winter, especially when the sun goes down earlier, it makes it 10 times more fun. So get creative, bring steaks, bring hamburger. There's all sorts of options. If you can refrigerate it or freeze it, you can bring it on trail and cook it and make that part of your trip. And that's not something you really get to do when it's 90 degrees out and the sun doesn't go down until 10 p.m. So even though I don't have a fire here today, think about how much fun it can be to get creative in the backcountry with cooking. Next on my list of cheap and easy hacks, this is not relevant to any particular season. I do this all year round, and I've shown it in quite a few of my videos, but I thought I'd show it again. These are Fruity Pebbles. Insert any cereal here in this bag. And I buy the cheapest thing possible, which is these little French vanilla coffee creamers from, I think, Dollar General. But think protein powder, peanut butter powder, powdered milk, all the things that are powdered that you can just pour into cereal and add water and make a pretty damn decent bowl of cereal. So you just add as many powder packets as you think you need, and then add a little bit of water. Make sure all that powder gets soaked up. Hopefully you can see that, but it does look like milk in there. And the French vanilla specifically for me seems to be the closest to a good blend with sweeter cereals like good old Fruity Pebbles. So once that's all mixed together, all you do is enjoy. And that's delicious. Now price-wise, this is under $1 total easy. First of all, these are off-brand Fruity Pebbles. I can't remember what they're called, but I'm sure it's hilarious. And then, like I said, Dollar General coffee creamers, I think, come 6 for $1 or something. So rather than a $5 or $6 Mountain House or Peak Refuel granola, just have the same thing you have at home. Try some breakfast cereal. I'm already so bloated I had to delayer. But I got one more thing left for you. And you're probably going to think that I'm a spokesperson for Hereford Rip and Ready shelf-stable meats. But this was sent to me by my friend Daniel Beaupre. He sent me a few now, and I've had 5 or 6 of them on trail. Again, this lasts forever, and this is beef ribs with barbecue sauce. You can also use like the chicken, barbecue chicken. Any barbecued meat will do. But today we're just going to have something real simple, which is a sandwich. So a barbecue beef sandwich with cheese. Again, not quite sure why more people don't just bite the bullet and bring bread If I leave this on top of my food bag, it rarely gets smashed to the point of no return. The first thing I'm going to do though is toast this bun a little bit, then we'll heat up the meat. It's kind of a messy option to fry it in a frying pan like this, but you could also easily boil this in a bag if you want to keep things neat. Now the chicken and tuna packets that are barbecued are quite good as well, but look at how much meat comes in one of these. Again, this goes between $3 and $4. So if you want a lot of meat on your sandwiches, it's really only going to make one sandwich. But it's a big beefy sandwich. Well, look at that bad boy. Now, honest to God, this barbecue beef, again, it's shelf stable. It might sound kind of gross, but it is truly legit. It's got a really good amount of barbecue sauce to meat ratio. It's got texture of like roast beef, so it's real meat and it's real good. If you're like me and you crave meat on trail more than you do noodles or rice, and more importantly, if you want to save money, take a look at some of these options and get creative with it. So as the leaves fall and the temperature drop, making food a focus for your backpacking trips can really enhance the experience. Share your winter recipes in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you real soon.